What's up, Sneeples? This is day 2 of the Outsider spoilers. Let's get right into it because we have too much to go over. A lot of assassin cards. It's a very assassin thing, but we got some arrows as well. So let's get right to it. We're going to start off with an arrow presented to us by Sloop Dupe. This is Barbed Undertow. It is a 1-cost red pitched arrow. Majestic. So we're only going to see this in red. Blocks for 3 at arrow attack action. It says if Barbed Undertow has an aim counter. So aim counters are back. It gains when this hits a hero. You choose a color. You can choose red, yellow, blue. Whatever color you choose. Your opponent cannot pitch that color until the start of your next turn. Most times the color you'll choose is blue, right? You can't pitch blues. That seems about right. Maybe you're facing a red line deck though, like Dromite. You can't pitch red. Seems pretty good. You know, one thing that Dromite is very good against is Rangers, so maybe this kind of helps out to stop a Ranger type turn from, or for a Dromite type turn from really exploding. So very cool, majestic, one that you can really altercate your opponent. Moving on, we have Infiltrate. This was given to us by Little Uzi Squirt. Or Lil Uzi, I think she changed that to just Lil Uzi now. Infiltrate is an assassin attack action. This is another majestic, so we are only going to see this in red. It is a 0 cost, blocks for 3, attacks for 3, has stealth, and has ability that says when it hits a hero, banish top card of their deck. You can play that card until the end of your next turn. That means you can play your opponent's cards. I've always very much liked this style of mechanic in games, so I'm very happy to see that introduced in Flesh and Blood. And yeah, I do want to play some Infiltrate because I do want to play with your cards. Okay, so that's Infiltrate. And then one of the very cool things that we got is we get to know what Arachne Solitary Confinement, that's the new young Arachne. We get to know what that young Arachne does. And here it is. Your first attack with stealth each turn has go again. So, this is pretty big because in Limited, what it is saying to us is that if you choose to be Uzuri, you are choosing to be a go tall assassin. And if you choose Arachne, you're choosing to be a go wide assassin. So it really helps with the draft perspective. Like, okay, you know, am I going to go wider or am I going to go taller? Which assassin class or hero am I going to work with? And then just a reminder, we've already been spoiled this a long time ago with the art, but he does have 4 intelligence and 19 health instead of the 20 health. Okay, now, that was actually, those spoilers were actually from last night. Now we get into all the spoilers of today, so let's get right to it. Hurl. This is an assassin ninja action, so you can be, you know, in both decks. It's an attack. It's a rare, so we expect to see this in multiple colors. A 0 for 3 that blocks for 2, and it reads, as an additional cost to play Hurl, you may pay 1. When you do, this gains when this attacks a target dagger you control, deals 1 damage to target hero. If damage is dealt this way, the dagger has hit, destroy the dagger. So basically, you can choose to pay 1 extra to throw your dagger. And then if the dagger hits, the dagger's no longer, you can't pick it back up. It's done, it's over. Pretty cool if it has like a hit trigger. And this will all happen before blocks are declared on Hurl. So maybe you throw a dagger that says, like a spider bite, that says attack actions block for -1 now because it dealt damage. So it's very cool little concept, very cool, interesting thing. You know, how important is your weapon? Can you just throw daggers? Well, we'll find out. But Hurl definitely gives us that option. Okay, moving on. Short and Sharp. This is another assassin / ninja card. You can choose which one. It's attack reaction. It is a common. Expect to see this in all 3 colors. Costs 1, blocks for 2. And it says choose 1. Target dagger gains +3, or target attack action with 2 or less base power gains +3. Okay, so this is kind of like a Razor Reflex, but without the go again, unfortunately, because we do kind of want to see another Razor Reflex with all these daggers and small attacks coming in. But this is a pump. It's a 1-for-3 attack reaction pump, so you know, good for the on hits that both Assassin and Ninjas have. That was presented to us by Fiendlo Hobby, and then Hurl was also presented to us by Steel Fur, although we always put those up. So anyways, Spreading Plague, this is presented to us by the Wraith Times. This is an Assassin, just Assassin, no more Ninja Assassin deal right now. Assassin attack reaction, and a very cool one too, another Majestic. This one's yellow, so it pitches for 2, costs 1, called Spreading Plague. Defends for 3, and let's get into what it does. Create X Blood Rot Pox tokens under the defending hero's control, where X is the number of defending cards this chain link. So this is attack reaction. So it says chain link, so it doesn't say chain, but if you are coming in with a big tall attack such as Uzuri, and they put 2 cards in front of your attack to block it out, presumably, then you can play the Spreading Plague and give them 2 Blood Rot Pox tokens, which means that they would have to pay 6 resources lest they take 4 damage. So it's still a way to get damage through and really pressure your opponent, which is very cool. And also, you know, kind of takes them from having a turn against you if they want to prevent that damage, since they can pay 3 for each 2 damage. Okay, next one. Star City Games gave us this one, and it's a big one because this is our first legendary that we get spoiled in this set. It's called Flick Knives. It is Assassin and Ninja equipment, so either or. Our first dual equipment that's legendary. It is arms. It blocks for 1. It has blade break, so you can only block it once and then it's done. And the ability it has a once per turn attack reaction, pay 0. Target dagger you control that isn't on the active chain link deals 1 damage to target hero. If damage is dealt this way, the dagger has hit, destroy the dagger. Okay, so this ability does not destroy the arms themselves. So as far as many times as you have daggers, many times you can use this ability once per attack reaction. Once per turn attack reaction, so it's only once per turn, but you can use it, you know, however many turns you have daggers, right? And then you can block at the end. So a little underwhelming just because right now there's, as far as we could see, there's only 2 daggers that you can hold, but there is, you know, LSS has gave us something that there's a possibility for us to be able to use daggers from our sideboard. So we'll see what comes of that. If that becomes something that's huge, then this could be a very, very played arms piece. Right now for Assassins doesn't really have an arm piece, so this is perfect for them. However, Ninjas, they are going to have to compete with Tiger Stripe Shuko and Breaking Scales. So we'll see if Ninja really latches on to this. Okay. All right, next up from Fable Gaming HK, Hong Kong, Sedative Shot. This is another Ranger arrow. This is a common, so expect them in all 3 colors here. It costs 1 for the it costs 1. Swings in for 5 with the red, blocks for 3. And it says if Sedative Shot has an aim counter, it has +1, so 1's for 6. When this hits a hero, this is not with, you know, this is based on not on the aim counter, so you can just do this. When this hits a hero, create an Inertia Token under their control. Okay, so it's a 1 for 5, could be a 1 for 6 at an aim counter, and if it hits, you make an Inertia Token. A solid card throughout, honestly. And I think one thing that's kind of big to note here is that it doesn't really need aim counter to do its huge effect. Aim counter just gives it a little bit of pump. So this could very well be a Lexi type card, since Lexi has Voltaire to give it that pump anyways. So I think this is really a arrow for all Rangers in this case. Okay, next one is Stab Wound. This is given to us by Techno Foundry. This is a Majestic. It is a blue Majestic. It's a 0 cost 2 attack Assassin Ninja attack action, so another split card. Blocks for 3, and it says when this hits a hero, they lose X life, where X is the number of times a dagger has hit this combat chain. So if you're drawing 2 daggers at your opponent, maybe even more, who knows what's coming up in the future. But that means that this, if it hits for 2, it will hit for additional 2. So it could be a 0 for 4 essentially. That's what we're looking at with this attack. It being a 2 power means that Benji likes it. It also means that even Massive Pouncing Lynx is a fetchable thing. You know, we'll see what type decks are out there, but it's very interesting. Okay, so moving on. We've got so much. We got to keep it moving. Scale Peelers, our next one. This is from Motivo. I'm not sure. But Scale Peeler, this is an assassin weapon. This is a dagger, one-handed, so you can run 2 of these. It reads pay 2 attack. It has go again and it attacks for 1. Has piercing 1, which means if they defend with an equipment, it gets +1. And it says when this hits a hero, the next time they defend with 1 or more equipment this turn, those equipments have -1 while defending. That's pretty big, especially against Oldhim, who likes to use the Rampart. So if you are a assassin and you're going against Oldhim, this would be a great dagger to bring in. And it gives us another dagger, so you can have a Spider Bite on one end and a Scale Peeler on the other. Or you can run 2 Scale Peelers, what have you. But very cool to get another a dagger for the assassins that has that similar effect where the blocking becomes weird for your opponent. Next is a Orbital Class. Orbital Class, I believe. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Alan Liu gave us this one. This is another assassin weapon. That's a dagger. Swings for 1. Pays 2 to attack and it has go again. But this one's ability, it also has piercing 1. This one's ability says when it hits hero, next time they defend with 1 or more non-attack actions, it gets -1. So this is the one you'd want to play against the Wizards. So another dagger that we're getting. Now these are all assassin daggers. So those cards that we've seen earlier were assassin / ninja is the one where you can draw a dagger. But right now we're just seeing assassin daggers. But they do have an on hit. So that is very, very relevant. Moving on. This next card is spoiled to us by Arc. This is Malign. So we're going back to the attack action card. This is assassin attack action. It's a common, expected in all 3 colors here. 0 for 3 in the red. Has stealth. And says damage that would be dealt by Malign. Yeah. Can't be prevented. So it's a stealth card that prevents you from having or your opponent from having damage prevention. I don't know. It's a little interesting. It's a common. I think it kind of has that common feel to it. Okay, moving on. This one's given us by the RadBrad. Wreck Havoc or Wreak Havoc. No, Wreck Havoc. Sorry. This is the card that we get to see when Outsiders was first spoiled. This is the Flamethrower chick. It is a rare, so again 3 colors here. The red is a 2 for 6 power, blocks for 2. It says defense reactions can't be played to Wreck Havoc's Chain Link. And when this hits a hero, you may turn a card in their arsenal face up, then destroy a defense reaction in their arsenal. Pretty big, pretty big. Kind of a pseudo Command and Conquer. It has that Command and Conquer feel to it that you can't play defense reactions to it. And if your opponent does have a defense reaction kind of stuck in their arsenal, this is a great way to get rid of it. It kind of forces them to block. It's your poor man's CNC, but still cool. Blocks for only 2 though, which is kind of unfortunate because CNC at least blocked for 3. All right. Next we have Bywatch Flake. So by Flake himself, another legendary. Redback Shroud. We saw a full art version of this, which looks awesome. So this is an assassin equipment that's a chest piece, has battle worn, and then blocks for 1. And it reads, while Redback Shroud is in your graveyard at the start of your turn, you may pay or you may destroy 2 silvers you control. If you do, equip Redback Shroud. And then as an attack reaction, you can destroy it, and the next attack reaction card you play this turn costs 1 less to play. Pretty big. I like that. Kind of your Assassin's Spring Tunic per se. This seems to go in more in line with old Arachne, the one where you would get silver contracts. You know, we'll see if Uzuri or even younger, the solitary confinement Arachne runs these contract type cards to make silver. But I kind of feel like this is just the old Arachne style. So it kind of feels more catered to him, and it's kind of cool that he even gets a little legendary in this set. Moving on, Sunflower Samurai gave us this one, Destructive Deliberation. Destructive Deliberation, a 2 for 5. That's a common, so 2 for 5 on the red. It blocks for 2. And it says, when this hits a hero, create a Ponder token. You know, this again has that common quality to it. It's probably going to be a good limited card, but it's really hard to see it outside the limited range for this card. So, cool art though, cool art. Okay. Next one, from Push to Point, we get Virulent Touch. This is another common. The red is a 0 for 4 that blocks for 2. And this one's an Assassin / Ranger action. It says Virulent Touch can't be played from hand. So plays from Arsenal or from Banstone if you're Uzuri. When this chain link resolves, if Virulent Touch is defended by a card from hand, create a Blood Rot Pox token under the defending player's control. So basically a 0 for 4 that punishes you for blocking it. Pretty damn cool, kind of fun. And then a Blood Rot Pox obviously deal the 2 extra afterwards. So almost kind of a 0 for 6 if they choose to block. A little interesting, right? All right. Next up, from X Flesh and Blood X. Personally, this is one of my locals here. Nerve Scalpel. This is another assassin weapon, the dagger. So again, pay 2 attack, go again. Costs 1, or comes in for 1, I should say. Has piercing 1, but this one says when it hits a hero, the next time to defend with 1 or more reaction cards. So that is both the reacts and attack cards. It gets -1. So maybe against like a Dorinthia who runs a lot of attack reactions, you might want to play the Orbital Class and Nerve Scalpel to kind of like basically force them to not have good positive blocks against you. All right, next up from Ethnic Smoke is Bleed Out. A 2 for 4 with Go Again, Ninja Assassin attack action. This is a rare, so we would expect to see all 3 colors, but the red is a 2 for 4 with Go Again, and it blocks for 2. It reads Bleed Out costs X resources points less to play, where X is the total damage you've dealt with daggers as combat chain. So here again, we're dealing more with daggers. If you drew both your daggers as this combat chain, then this is a 0 for 4 with Go Again, which is always a great stat line to have. Okay, next up is from Pitch Perfect Pod Amnesia, a 2 for 6 Majestic that blocks for 3. So these are Command and Conquer types, stats. It has the ability, when this hits a hero, cards and tokens they own lose and can't gain names until the start of your next turn. There is some erratas that have been linked with this to kind of limit the target that this card has. So basically targeting cards that like combo type cards that specifically mentions another card name, not their own. The art here is actually very interesting. This guy's just rocking a t-shirt with jeans, which is kind of interesting to see in the Flesh and Blood world. Overall, I'm kind of into it. I think a lot of these 2 for 6s we're seeing are more situational. But the fact that it blocks for 3 is why I'm actually pretty into this card. Okay, next from HB, we have Blade Cuff. This is a Assassin Ninja equipment for the arms. This is the common, so this is the draftable one, really. This one blocks for 1, Blade Break here as well. The action is pay 2, destroy Blade Cuff. Your dagger is gained +1 this turn. Go again. So kind of like a heat wave from Uprising for your daggers. And yeah, I think that even applies when you throw your daggers as well. So pretty damn cool. Next up is from Alpha Investments, from Mr. Rudy himself, Toxicity. This is a assassin / ranger action. It is a rare, so the red says that it will, and it costs 0, I should mention. Cost 0, blocks for 2. The red says that the next assassin or ranger attack action card you play this turn gains, when this hits a hero, they lose 5 life. And it has go to. So, pretty damn big. Definitely presents an on hit. You know, it is just pure damage, but 5 life is no joke. I mean, depending on what format you're playing, that could be a quarter of your health or, you know, an eighth of your health, but 5 life, huge. So, kind of a cool semi-pump, right? It doesn't quite pump, but makes it where you really want to block this arrow or assassin action. Okay, next up from Man Sant himself, Gorelching. Very interesting card, this one. This is a majestic, a 0 for 7. Does not block. This is attack action. It says when this attacks, reveal cards from the top of your deck until you reveal an attack action card. If you do, banish it, and then Gorelching gets -X power, where X is the power of the card banished this way. And then it says otherwise this gets -7 power, and then shuffle your deck afterwards. Interesting that this says shuffle afterwards. A lot of times what we've seen with revealing cards from the top is that they just go right back on. This is one of the few times where it says shuffle after revealing tops. We see it with Sonata before, but anyways, moving on. That's not important. What's really important here is that this is a card that takes huge benefits from having very low attacks, and the hero that really just, you know, comes out in mind immediately is Benji. Benji likes having very low to the ground attacks so that they can get through without being blocked. And if you pair that with a Gorelching, well, then you might have a 0 for 5, which is obviously great stat line right there. This definitely favors decks that have a lower attack value. So very cool. I'm digging it. I also like that it has the other text that otherwise it will get -7 power. So if you try to do some tricky thing where you don't have any more attack actions in your deck so that you can come in 0 for 7, can't be done here. Okay, moving on, we have from the Table Pit, Sneak Attack. I like the art on this one. I think it's really cool. This is an assassin attack action that's a rare, so all 3 colors. The red has it for a 2 for 3 attack that defends for 2. Terrible stat lines. So let's read what it means. If you played or activated an attack reaction, this chain link, Sneak Attack has +4. So instead of a 2 for 3, it becomes a 2 for 7. Now we're looking at good stat lines. And it says attack reaction, this chain link. So if you brought this in using Azuri's ability, then this would be your 2 for 7. Or if you just, you know, put attack reaction on, then this is a 2 for 7 plus whatever pump on that attack reaction. So I actually think this is a card that is sneaky, well, you know, sneak attack. And I actually think it's sneakily good. So I'm pretty big on this card, both art-wise and playability. At least for limited, for sure. All right, next up, from Breezy, we get Cut Down to Size. This is a 2 for 6, that's a common. So the red is a 2 for 6, blocks for 2, and says when this hits a hero, if they have 4 more cards in hand, they discard a card. This is awesome. This is almost like a Pulse Wave Harpoon type effect where you are forcing your opponent to block because otherwise they're going to lose a card anyways. So especially good against aggro decks, you know, or decks that just like have the setup turn, you know, whether it be a Channel Heroic, a Blood Rush Bellow, or Art of War turn. Now you have to give me a card, and you can't have your 4 to 5 card hand to use this awesome turn on. So very, very cool effect, and I actually think this being a common doesn't feel like a common. It actually feels more like a majestic to me. So the fact that we get to have this in 2 other colors is actually really, really cool. So I'm very excited for that. Okay, next up from the Fab Workshop is Humble. This is a 2 for 6. Now this one's a rare. The red is a 2 for 6 that blocks for 2. And it reads, when this hits a hero, that hero loses all abilities until the end of turn. So you treat that hero as if the text box is empty. This is very good against a lot of heroes. A lot of heroes rely on their text box. Then there's some heroes that just don't care. But yeah, the card is humble. So, another thing to like kind of switch in with Azuri, and it's more of a go tall effect. But overall, pretty decent. Actually one of the better 2 for 6s that we've seen. It kind of makes sense why it's rare. Okay, so next up is from Para 9. We get Blood Rot Trap for agility, or for frailty. Sorry, frailty trap, Blood Rot Trap, and Inertia Trap. All these are assassin and ranger defense reactions that are traps. Let's see, I think they all cost 0. They all cost 0. They all block for 3, and they're all red. And even though they are common, they are only in red. And it reads that when this defends an attacking hero, they have a certain effect. So let's just go over it. Blood Rot Trap says when this defends an attacking hero that has played or activated a reaction this chain link, you create a Blood Rot Pox token under their control. The Frailty one says when it defends an attack with Go Again, give them a Frailty token. That makes sense. That's pretty good. And then Inertia, when this defends an attack action with greater power than its base, you get an Inertia token. This is especially good versus Rangers that typically pump up their arrows. Alright, next from Dead Summer Art, we have Codex of Inertia. The last Codex, the last card that's going to get the Marvel treatment here. Just like the other Codexes, this is yellow, this is a 0, this is blocks for 2 and it has Go Again and is an Assassin Ranger action. And just like the other codexes, each hero puts the top card of their deck face down to their arsenal, and then each hero that does discards a card. Well, actually, I guess that one is a little different because I think the other ones came from the graveyard. But anyhow, you create a Ponder token under your control and an Inertia token under each opponent's control. So you get the benefit and while giving them, the tax. And it's a 0 cost, so it's very, very good. Okay, next up from Stackswell, the fellow teammate, gotta love that. Premeditate, a 0 costing Majestic. That is a non-attack action. It blocks for 2. It says the next time an attack action card hits a hero this turn, create a Ponder token. And the next attack action card you play from Arsenal this turn gains +3. Has Go Again. Okay, kind of like your Ponder or your Plunder run from old, but a little different, a little flipped. Instead of Plunder run coming from the arsenal, this can come from the hand, but the attack has to come from the arsenal and get the +3. And instead of just immediately drawing a card, you get the Ponder token, which basically means you get an arsenal at the end. Pretty interesting, pretty cool. We'll see where this gets played. Definitely seems like you want to have multiple arsenals, so maybe you're rocking New Horizon just to have multiple chances. But it's only the next attack. I don't know. Not sure really what to make of this card. It's interesting to say the least. I think Go White decks really would like this, but at the same time, I'm not 100% sure. This one's actually the one that confuses me the most on if it's good or not. I don't know. Okay, moving on. The last one of the day 2 for the recap is Down and Dirty. This is given to us from Arsenal Pass. This is another 2 for 6 Majestic that blocks for 2. And it says, while Down and Dirty is in your arsenal, you may defend with it. Now, it only defends for 2. So that's a bit unfortunate. I want to defend for 3. But the fact that you can defend with it if need be is kind of actually not bad. But overall, I'm not huge into this card. It has no on hit, and it really doesn't block all that well. But I guess if it's something that you can just go ahead and grab towards like near the second cycle, it's not the worst. So, anyways, that is all. That was a lot of them. That's all for the day 2 recap. We'll give you the day 3 recap, and then at that point, it's just everything else afterwards. So stick with us for this weekend of Flesh and Blood spoilers, and we'll keep giving to you as we get them. Until then, keep on fabbing. See you in the next video.